The ABCs of Amtrak, America's Railroad, written and illustrated by Andy Fletcher. The letter A. Albany, New York is where our Amtrak journey begins, aboard Amtrak's Empire service to New York City. At Atlanta, Georgia, we take the Crescent Limited to Washington, D.C. At Albuquerque, New Mexico, we cross the Rio Grande River on the Southwest Chief. At Austin, Texas, we take the Texas Eagle to Chicago. The letter B. At Bear, Delaware, the men and women of Amtrak keep our Amtrak cars rolling safely down the track. At Boston, Massachusetts, we visit Boston Harbor and Paul Revere's house. Our Northeast Regional train is pulled by the first city sprinter locomotive named for past Amtrak President David L. Gunn. At Beech Grove, Indiana, the men and women of Amtrak rebuild and paint Amtrak's locomotives and cars. At Baltimore, Maryland, we enjoy Chesapeake Bay as we head to New York on the Acela. The letter C. At Chicago Union Station, we board the Capital Limited for Cumberland, Maryland. At Cincinnati, Ohio, we take the Cardinal to Charleston, West Virginia. At Cleveland, Ohio, we see the shores of Lake Erie aboard the Lakeshore Limited. At Charlotte, North Carolina, we take the Carolinian to New York City. The letter D. At Davis, California, we catch the California Zephyr to head across America. At Denver, Colorado, we board the California Zephyr as it heads over the Rockies. At Detroit, Michigan, we take the Wolverine to Durand. At Dunsmuir, we board the Coast Starlight as we view the Cascade Mountains. The letter E. At East Glacier, Montana, on the Empire Builder, we stop to visit Glacier National Park. Erie, Pennsylvania, on the Lakeshore Limited, is where General Electric built the locomotives that pull our train. While in Erie, we visit the Lakeshore Railway Museum in nearby northeast Pennsylvania. We see a New York Central locomotive at Elkhart, Indiana, as we ride the Lakeshore Limited. This engine once pulled the New York Central 20th Century Limited, the grandfather to our train. At El Paso, Texas, we take the Sunset Limited to Los Angeles. The letter F. At Flagstaff, Arizona, we stop and see the Lowell Observatory on the Southwest Chief. At Fort Worth, Texas, we take the Texas Eagle to St. Louis. Fort Worth is the headquarters of BNSF. At Freeport, Maine, we catch the Downeaster to Boston to see the Red Sox. At Fullerton, California, we board the Surfliner for San Diego. The letter G. At Galesburg, Illinois Amtrak Station, we see a big Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy steam engine that pulled trains that were the grandfather to today's California Zephyr upon which we ride. We take the Piedmont train to Greensboro, North Carolina. Today's train is pulled by the city of Kannapolis, dedicated to engineer Bud Marling. At Glenwood Springs, Colorado, we take the California Zephyr to Denver, a relaxing vacation in the mountains. At Grand Junction, Colorado, we get an ice cream at Dave's Depot and take the California Zephyr to Granby. The letter H. At Havre, Montana Amtrak Station, we see a big Great Northern steam engine. It used to pull the father to today's Amtrak Empire Builder many years ago. At Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, we take the Pennsylvanian to Pittsburgh. We can see railfans on the porch of the Station Inn as we pass through Crescent. At the Hamlet, North Carolina Amtrak Station, we see a historic Seaboard Airline locomotive from aboard the Silver Star. Seaboard Airline is an ancestor to today's Silver Star. At Houston, Texas, we head to New Orleans aboard the Sunset Limited. We look forward to crossing the Huey P. Long Bridge over the Mississippi River. The letter I. At Indianapolis, Indiana, we take the Cardinal to New York City. Indianapolis was the first city in the world to build a Union Station in 1848. At Ivy City, the men and women of Amtrak maintain our trains so they are ready to go. Rail safety is important to Amtrak and all Class I railroads. Maintaining the trains and the tracks makes for safer travel. At Independence, Missouri, we take the Missouri River Runner to St. Louis to visit the National Museum of Transportation. One of the many famous engines we will see is Union Pacific Big Boy number 4006. The letter J. At Jacksonville, Florida, we catch the Silver Star to Washington, D.C. Jacksonville is the headquarters of CSX. At Jefferson City, we see the state capital of Missouri on the Missouri River Runner. The letter K. At Kansas City, Missouri, we cross the Missouri River on the Southwest Chief. At Kankakee, Illinois, we board the City of New Orleans. Kankakee is mentioned in the railroad song The City of New Orleans. The letter L. As we arrive in Lamy, New Mexico on the Southwest Chief, we spot Santa Fe Southern number 7 getting ready to take a load of freight cars to Santa Fe. We're excited to learn that she will be also making tourist trips for the Santa Fe Southern. At Los Angeles, California, we board the Coast Starlight as it heads along the Pacific Coast. This train is pulled by the Amtrak Veterans engine. Lorton, Virginia is where we catch the auto train to Florida. Our car is on the train too, and will take us to many of Florida's theme parks. At La Junta, Colorado, we take the Southwest Chief to Lawrence, Kansas. The letter M. At Martinsburg, West Virginia, we pass the historic shops of the Baltimore and Ohio on the Capital Limited. The Baltimore and Ohio was an ancestor to Amtrak and was America's first common carrier railroad. At Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we take the Hiawatha to Chicago. This route is named for the Milwaukee Road passenger train, one of Amtrak's predecessor railroads. At Memphis, Tennessee, we take the City of New Orleans and travel on Canadian National tracks to Jackson, Mississippi. At Miami, Florida, we take the Silver Star to Rocky Mount, North Carolina. The letter N. At New York City, we stop at Penn Station to visit Times Square and see a Broadway show. At New Orleans, Louisiana, we stop to see the French Quarter and listen to some jazz bands before we head to Chicago on the City of New Orleans. At New Haven, Connecticut, we take the Northeast Regional to Boston. We visit Norfolk, Virginia on Amtrak Virginia. Here is a Norfolk Southern train. The letter O. At Oakland, California, we catch a ride on Amtrak California's Capital Corridor service at Jack London Square. At Orlando, Florida, we visit one of America's great vacation destinations aboard the Silver Star. We visit Omaha, Nebraska on the California Zephyr. Omaha is headquarters of Union Pacific. At Oklahoma City, we visit the capital of Oklahoma aboard the Heartland Flyer as we head to Dallas for the big game. The letter P. At Portland, Oregon, we stop to see the American Freedom Train locomotive number 4449. The American Freedom Train made its journey from home to Portland on the Amtrak Transcontinental Steam Special in 1977. At Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, aboard the Pennsylvanian, we visit the City of Brotherly Love. We stop to see Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell. At Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, aboard the Capital Limited, we visit centers of American industry and head to Toledo. The letter Q. At Quincy, Illinois, we arrive at the banks of the mighty Mississippi River on Amtrak Midwest. The letter R. Roanoke, Virginia is home to the Virginia Museum of Transportation and the O. Winston Link Museum. Link is famous for photographing Norfolk and Western locomotives. We stay in the historic Hotel Roanoke. Raton, New Mexico is where Boy Scouts take the Amtrak Southwest Chief to go to Philmont Scout Ranch. At Rochester, New York, we take the Empire Service to Buffalo. The letter S. At Sacramento, California, Siemens built the City Sprinter locomotives for the Amtrak Northeast Corridor trains. At Seattle, Washington, we stop to visit Pike Place Market for the catch of the day. At San Diego, California, we take the Pacific Surfliner to Santa Barbara. At St. Paul, Minnesota, we take the Empire Builder to Seattle. At San Antonio, Texas, we stop to see the Alamo from aboard the Texas Eagle. At Savannah, Georgia, we take the Silver Meteor to Sebring. Salisbury, North Carolina Amtrak Station is only a few miles from the North Carolina Transportation Museum in Spencer. The museum's Bob Julian Roundhouse is home to many railroad events. At Salt Lake City, Utah, we take the California Zephyr to Sacramento. In Sacramento, we visit the California State Railroad Museum, just a short walk from the historic Amtrak station. The letter T. At Tacoma, Washington, we travel south along the Puget Sound aboard the Cascade Route. At Tucson, Arizona, we head to New Orleans on the Sunset Limited. At Toronto, Ontario, we board the Amtrak Maple Leaf for Buffalo. At Tampa, Florida, we board the Silver Star for Trenton, New Jersey. The letter U. At Utica, New York, we travel along the Mohawk River at the foot of the Adirondack Mountains. The letter V. At Vancouver, Washington, we board the Empire Builder as it takes us on a tour along the Columbia River and the Rocky Mountains. At Victorville, California, we cross the high desert as we head to Los Angeles on the Southwest Chief. The letter W. At Williams, Arizona, Amtrak station, we catch the Grand Canyon Railroad to see the Grand Canyon, one of America's national parks. At Winter Park, Colorado, we stop to go skiing aboard Amtrak's California Zephyr. At Wilmington, Delaware, the men and women of Amtrak keep our Amtrak locomotives working. Amtrak Joe Biden catches the Acela at Wilmington, Delaware, to head to Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. Union Station is headquarters of Amtrak, as we see our nation's capital. Our train is pulled by Amtrak Veterans City Sprinter that was painted in honor of our veterans. The letter X. X always reminds us to look both ways as we cross railroad tracks safely. The letter Y. At Yuma, Arizona, we cross the Colorado River on the Sunset Limited. The letter Z. Our Zephyr has taken us across America. I cannot wait to ride Amtrak again. Jospeh H. Boardman was the president and CEO of Amtrak from 2008 to 2016. He was a strong supporter of both inner-city train travel and long-distance trains. During his tenure, he frequently traveled across the country on Amtrak trains, met Amtrak riders, and met and listened to the needs of the communities that Amtrak served. For many small-town residents, Amtrak is the only reliable way to travel to visit family, get medical care, and travel for business and pleasure. Joe knew America was built by railroads that once carried freight and passengers. He knew that for Amtrak to succeed, freight and passenger trains needed to work together to keep the economy growing, and people going where they needed and wanted to go. Joe also knew the importance of safe equipment and ordered the city sprinters from Siemens USA for the Northeast Corridor's electrified train routes. He also ordered new diners and sleeping cars for long-distance routes. We lost Jospeh H. Boardman too early, and this book is my way of saying thank you for all he did to keep Amtrak running for all who knew and needed and loved to travel by train.